Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 75-day business challenge, where we're helping you to get noticed and get more clients by the end of this year. It's about a month and a half now until the end of the year, and we really want to support you in, as being a business owner, in maximizing your year-end profits by giving you some tips and strategies and sort of being available for you for a little bit of advice and coaching. I'm Lisa Ingalls, and I'm here with my wonderful partner, Kim Carpenter, and together we are the founders of Wake Up and Change the World. We provide evolutionary marketing and business consulting for online business owners who want to grow their business and create a better world. And you can check us out at wakeupandchangetheworld.com. We'd also love for you to share this blab with your community just by clicking on the share button. On the left-hand side, there's the one that says tell a little bird that you can do obviously on Twitter. And the other one, what does it? It does tell your friends. Last week it said tell your aunt. This week it's tell your friends. So go ahead and tell your friends over in Facebook. And just to let you know that we are here through the end of the year with this particular show on Mondays, in general, Mondays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. For instance, next week, obviously, or not next week, the week after Thanksgiving, we won't be here on that Thursday. So, you know, some days we won't be here. But if you'd like to see what we're doing, if you'd like to be a part of the challenge, you can subscribe to the challenge at bit.ly/75-day challenge. And while you're there, that just subscribes you to the 75-day challenge, and we'll send you some checklists and some, again, our tips and strategies for how to maximize your year end and get the clients that you want before the end of the year instead of waiting till January to do that. So the way that our session, our show here works is, for the first half of the show, Kim and I pick a topic. Today, we're going to be talking about becoming the chief conversation officer of your business and how important that is and how to do that. And once we go through that and give you a little bit of information on that, we open up our seats. And if you want to, if you're courageous enough to step inside, ask a question, or share your thoughts, because this is just really about having a conversation with you. Let's see, if you are showing up in here, we'd love to know what your name is, what your business is, what your goal is for your year end. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So I think did I miss anything, Kim, on the intro there? And I think I went over everything.
I think that's great. And I'm just capturing a couple things in the chat here for everybody. So we're good. I think we're ready to move forward.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to start out today by talking about this concept of becoming the chief conversation officer of your business. And what does that mean, and why is it even important at all? So becoming the chief conversation officer, to do that, first you have to understand a little bit of behind that, which is that people are desiring connection, real human connection with you. Kim and I have been talking about that over the last weeks that we've been meeting here with you. And people that desire connection, or when people desire connection, one of the best ways to connect with people is to have conversations with them. And it's those conversations that create trust and build the relationships. And it's even better when you can do that in real time, face to face. I think we talked about that a couple of our shows. Can't remember exactly which one it was. But so this idea of becoming the chief conversation officer takes that concept and now implements it into your business. And we actually have 7 key things that you can begin doing in your business. Maybe you're already doing some of them, but if you're not, you can begin implementing them in your business right now to, again, what this whole thing is about, get noticed and get clients over the next month and a half and beyond, hopefully, right? Not just for the next month and a half. So let's hop into the first one. And Kim, I'm going to let you take off with number one.
Sure. So number one is invite. And you might want to have a piece of paper and pen and take some notes during our lab today, because we are going to be teaching you some things here. So number one is invite. And inviting is about inviting people into a conversation with you, right? It's very hard to have conversations that just happen automatically, but usually we need to make some initiation to invite people into a conversation. And honestly, when I am building my business and when I'm working with my clients on helping them build their business, conversations are one of the most powerful ways for you to eventually get noticed and get more clients. And what Lisa and I are really teaching are having conversations without an agenda. So I don't want you to freak out, because of course you need to sell. Of course we need to have conversations that are also sales conversations and enrollment conversations. But the conversations we're talking about as you, the Chief Conversation Officer of your business, are really conversations without a big agenda. You're showing up to be curious. You're showing up to really serve, to see how you could connect, and maybe how you and the other person could help each other out in a reciprocal agreement. Lisa, is there anything else you wanted to say about invite?
Yeah, so there's different ways that you can invite people into having a conversation with you. One of them is just like this: starting a blab, starting a hangout, starting a Periscope, live stream video. Can you hear the car alarm going off in the back here? Sorry about that, guys. Using live stream video nowadays, I think, is one of the best ways to invite people into conversation. But another way to invite people into conversation is to notice who's showing up on your blog posts or who's showing up on your Facebook page and continually commenting, and notice, okay, they're interested in something that I'm doing, or vice versa. You're going somewhere else and posting on someone else's post or blog, and you start to notice people, because this is part of what happens in the social sphere, right? Reach out to that person and say, hey, I see what you're doing here. I'd love to, or I loved that comment that you made. Would you be open to having a Skype call with each other, or doing a Google Hangout with each other to meet each other, a private one-on-one? So that's the actual how and the implementation of the invite piece.
Great. And I see a couple of people have joined us. Welcome. Maybe Lisa, you can, I'm not sure. I can't see your real names. I can only see your Twitter handle.
Yeah,
So type in the chat and let us know your name and where you're listening in from and what your business is. And today we're talking about how can you get noticed and get more clients by the end of this year. This is part of the 75-day challenge. And Lisa Engels, my name is Kim Carpenter, and my partner Lisa Engels, we're teaching about how you can use conversations powerfully in your business to generate more clients and get noticed. So the second principle is really to ask powerful questions. And asking, so the first one was inviting people that you're noticing are naturally showing up on your social media or in different aspects of your life, inviting them into a conversation. And the second is ask. So invite and then ask. And ask is about asking questions, being curious. And this thing that I love it when Lisa talks about it, so Lisa, I might have you talk about it some more, but how to be interested instead of only trying to be interesting. You know, I think the experts industry and a lot of, we see people out there, they're really trying to showcase their expertise, which is great. You know, we want people to engage with our businesses because we have some core expertise, and they should buy from us because it will be of value to them. But in conversations, when we're trying to authentically connect with people, we really want to ask more than we're telling. We want to extract all that juicy information out of them about what they're looking for, what they care about, what they're passionate about. And when we can do that and ask and be interested in them more than trying to be interesting and push our information on them, they're going to feel heard, and they're going to feel seen and validated, and they're going to feel more connected to you and your brand.
Yeah.
Lisa, what else do you want to say?
I think that's just the essence, that last thing that you said, Kim, there is that when you ask questions, when you're curious, people feel seen and heard. And in today's online world, there's less and less of that. And I know I've made this comment before, I think in other shows, but it's worth saying again, that there's been a study about depression, and that Facebook has been linked to higher episodes of depression because of social comparison. So, and I keep saying this, is I find it ironic that this social networking site that's meant to connect people is actually not connecting them. It's making them compare themselves. So when we can, as Kim said, ask questions, be curious, people feel more connected to you. So that's the essence of it. So the third piece of that is, and I want to welcome Cliff. Just saw that Cliff joined as well. So welcome here, Cliff. Hope you can let us know what your business is in the comments there. As I move on to number 3, which is to listen. So if the first one is to invite people into conversation and then ask them questions, then the next piece would be to listen to what they say. Social listening is critical. Not just listening one-on-one, but social listening, like what is your marketplace saying, and being able to respond to what you're hearing is really, really key. And not many people, I won't say not many people do that, but I think it's a forgotten piece. It's an element because people are so focused on pushing their own agenda and making it about them that they forget to listen to what's being said. And the beauty about it is, and Kim and I do this all the time, is we listen and then we respond from that. And that response back might be a blog post. It might be that someone comes to our blab today and says something and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so key. We need to do a blab on just that topic. We did that actually not too long ago. So that listening piece is critical in becoming this. Yeah.
And we really went into this quite deeply in our last show. So if you want to grab that, you can just subscribe at the bit.ly/75-day challenge link that I put in the chat, and you'll get that video all about social etiquette and really going more deeply into how do you do social listening and how do you show up in these social settings. And I think what you're saying is really truly, because it's like I've done this too, you guys. Like, I'm totally guilty of this. When I was so enthusiastic about building my business and all of my posts were just about my class and my webinar and my freebie and all these things, and I just forgot about, like, oh yeah, these are real people that I want to have connections with and conversations with. And there's some human being on the other side of that, computer and that Ethernet line over in some other country. And I think we do that. I think there's some separation that gets created with the social media platform that we forget that it's just like walking into a party. Your neighbor has a party, you go into their house, you're going to come in and you're going to check out the scene, and then you're going to listen, you're going to get a drink and go over to this group of people that's having a conversation, and you're going to listen and see what they're talking about. And then you're going to see what you can add, and you're going to ask people questions. But when we show up online, we're just like bombarding with all of our stuff and we forget. So these are really good reminders.
Yeah. So then number 4 is to reflect back. Sort of, in a way, mentioned that in the previous one, like listen and then respond, but reflecting back is actually validating what someone is saying or feeling. So, for instance, if someone was saying in the chat, it's really hard for me. I'm totally trying to make something up off of the top of my head right now. But if someone was saying in the chat, and this was a blab on parenting, and someone was mentioning, I'm a single mom and it's really hard for me to be a business owner and a single mom because I'm da-da-da-da-da, I might be able to read that comment and empathize back, right? So I'm listening to what that person is saying, and I'm actually reflecting back and saying, hey, Karen, I totally hear you. I'm a single mom too. And sometimes I only have 2 hours in a day to get all of my business work done. And I know how frustrating it can be. Just a little piece like that, whether it's in a live stream video or you're doing that in your commenting and how you're commenting in your post or on your Facebook posts or LinkedIn, those types of things. So that reflecting back and empathizing with the people that you're engaging with is really important.
Yeah. And I think that's, when we are trying to represent ourselves and our business online and social media, we do want to show up as having value, so we want to give. I think part of the reason why we don't sit back and listen often is as we do have so much to give and we want to be giving, but we're really encouraging you to look at how can you empathize and even reaching out and saying, wow, I really get where you're at. That happened to me. If someone's saying like, I did this launch and it failed, or only 3 people showed up for my webinar. It's like, wow, you know what? That happened to me, if it did, right? And I totally get where you're at. And I've done X, Y, and Z to help move that along. And here's what's possible for you. But really to listen, and show that you're listening. And the next one is to be available. Lisa, can you actually talk about this one a little bit?
You passed over one.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, I passed over one. I'm looking at
engage.
Yeah, so the next one is engage. Okay, right. So to really engage and to be engaging is about speaking to people based on how they're interacting with you. So I think one way to kind of look at this is to look at what not to do, so what's not really engaging is when people show up into conversations, and you probably see this happening in the blabs all the time, right? They'll show up and they'll dump a link to their thing that's like not even connected to what people are talking about, or they just come with their agenda and they're trying to overpowering the conversation with their own agenda, and it's not really engaging. So asking relevant questions and looking at how we can further the conversation are really some great ways to engage online instead.
And another thing that we see a lot, like Kim, you were talking about what not to do. I think we can all relate, and I like to use this example. I use it all the time if you've heard it before. But the example that I use is, how many times have you received emails where you're like, why am I on this person's email list? And what does this even have to do with me? What is this message? Has nothing to do with what I'm interested in. And that's taking your engagement even another level, not just one-on-one real-time engagement, but all communications, all of your online communications, you want them to be very intentional, so that when you are communicating with people, that person that you're sending an email to is interested in the topic that you're talking about because they took an action that told you that they were interested in it. They showed up at your blab and then opted in for your free report that was on, I'll just stick with the parenting thing, how to be a great parent. So then you're going to send them an email that says, hey, here's my tips for parenting. You wouldn't do that if you're a parenting expert to blast everybody on your email list with tips about parenting if only 25% of your list is actually parents, and then you have, half of them are millennials. Like that would be ridiculous, but that's what we see happening all the time.
Yeah, or we see that,
bad rap too.
You see that, or you see like you've bought something from someone, right? So you've showed an interest in a certain thing, and then you'll get a whole series of emails trying to sell you that same thing that you've already bought from them.
Yeah.
Like, I think the days are over where we could just send a mass email to our whole entire list. So I hope you're all doing this. We have to segment, and we have to be listening to what people want and responding to that, or they will leave. Like, we're in such a crowded marketplace. There's just no tolerance.
So Kim, what you're saying is that's how to be forgotten and lose clients versus get noticed and get clients.
We should do a riff on that one time, like how to be forgotten and get rid of all your clients.
Yeah, just what I want. That's the benefit I want. All right. Okay, go ahead with the next one.
Okay. No, you're going to do the next one. Be available.
Oh, right. Okay. All right, I'll go. She's passing the baton on to me. Be available. This goes along with everything we've already talked about, but being available, it means that you're actually scheduling time. I'm going to give you what I did. This is how we came up with this number on here. Is a couple of years ago when I was starting to use Hangouts a lot, and I had a Hangout show, and I just started integrating live stream video into my business, I started to recognize that I would meet people, whether it was in my Hangout or other people's Hangouts, just like I'm seeing people commenting here in the Blab. So I might notice that I really like the comments that Chuck is saying right now. I really resonate with him, and I might private message Chuck and go, hey, I love what the messages or the comments that you made, and I saw that you're a da-da-da-da-da for your business. Would you want to do a private Hangout or do a Skype call just for 10 minutes? And it literally would be, I looked back on my calendar and noticed that I had a minimum of 2 of those types of Hangouts at that point. I was using Hangouts all the time with people that I didn't know, that I was just meeting like that in the chat or in comments somewhere. And the point is that I was being available, not because I was invested in money that I spent in a coaching group, or, I'm in this mastermind, so I'm going to be available to mastermind with these people over here. This is like reaching out to people that it seems like there might be a good connection. I'm just going to make myself available and see, hey, do you want to meet? Because you never know. And I'm going to sort of seg into the last point here is when you're available and you're meeting people, to have no agenda. I had no agenda. I didn't know, was this going to be a client? Was this going to be a friend, a potential colleague, someone who we could promote each other. I didn't have that going in my head, like, I'm going to see if he or she wants to sign up for my new coaching package that I have. I just was there to connect and to get to know who the person was on the other side, because we're building community here, right? Kim, I'll let you hop in on that.
Yeah, so I think what Lisa's talking about works really well one-on-one. And how do you actually take that from one to many? Because in the social media sphere, we want people to have that same feeling with us, even though we're blasting out a post or we're creating an ad, we're boosting something, and we don't know for sure who's going to see that. If you think about these principles before you're creating even that level of post or an email, and think about, how can I leave this person feeling like I know them and I'm really engaging with them, and I'm showing up, without a specific agenda, and I'm available to them, and I'm listening and hearing what they need and responding to that. Your messages are going to go, they're just going to be so much more powerful, and you're actually going to get a much bigger return on that investment of your precious time that you're spending in social media with. I think you want people to feel that, but when you're not thinking about those principles, I think sometimes the messages go flat.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it goes without saying that the engagement needs to come from you, not from your VA. Or, when you're being available, that means you are being available, not your VA is being available. There's some things that you do want, you will need help with in social media and you can get them to do, but the actual connection and engagement piece is just a piece that's a part of being an online business owner, or having a business that uses online to get out there in the world.
So we really encourage you, as you're looking at your year-end goals, to look back and see, how can I really be that chief connection officer of my business? How can I show up, engage with people, invite them into conversations, ask authentic questions, and infiltrate that into all of my marketing so people feel that personal connection with me and my brand? And we found the best way to do that is really to make it a practice. So both Lisa and I have our own personal practices. We practice meditation daily, and there is a great power in practice, just having a practice. So we encourage you to do a 5 by 15 practice, which means 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, where you're just engaging in this way in social media. It's just 15 minutes, and we promise you'll have a great return from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just opened to see if anybody wants to hop in and share their thoughts, or what type of practices do you use in your business as a chief conversation officer? We'd love to hear from you as well. Here's Chuck is coming in. We'll
great.
Say hi to Chuck.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Chuck.
Sorry about that. I'm wind blown. I just got off we had an interesting round of golf in the frost this morning. So.
Oh boy, where are you calling from?
Northern California.
Oh, okay.
Cool. We had a lot of snow the last couple of days up on the hills, and it was a little chilly this morning. So
were you in Tahoe or?
No, about 130 miles north of Sacramento, up the Sacramento River. We live right on the river, and Mount Lassen is right above, and it's
great.
We built 8 years ago. We opened a new golf course at the casino, so that's kind of a hangout. That's where people hang out on a regular basis. But I just love the conversation. Being the chief conversation officer of your biz, a lot of clients over the last couple of years have been told, especially those who suffered the tragedy of becoming MBAs. From their professors that we have to have this infrastructure and this structure in our business. And I kind of twisted things around with a lot of my clients, and all CEOs of companies that want me to work for them, it is a requirement that their personal cell phones be published everywhere.
Oh, nice.
Everywhere.
So that people can get a hold of them.
Get a hold of the CEO, the boss. Now, The interesting thing is, that the companies I work for are all privately held. I don't like stockholder companies. I only deal with private companies. So the CEO is typically the juice, be it a he or a she. And it's amazing. And the outcome after 5-6 years of stressing this has been that people just shake their heads because they call a number and the owner of the company answers. Oh my gosh.
That is so rare.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories is Johnny Brand, who has I love his company. I've been with it, working with him for 30 years. He manufactures a very quality product for a very niche market. Okay, and I remember we had dinner with he and his wife, and I emphasized that, John, it's time for, because we built a website. The website. I want your phone number, not the 800 number on this website. And his wife says, we can't do that. She's a banker. So I says, no, I'll tell you what. I says, I want John's number's going to be on the website. And that's all it's on social media is his personal number, not a company number. Well, it wasn't 5-6 days later. He's coming down from Idaho to Northern California on a Sunday, and the phone rings in the truck. And he answers it. And the man had somewhat of a, accent. And the man said, who's this? And John said, this is John blank. And the man says, oh my gosh, You were the owner, you know. Yes, yes. It's a Sunday now. Well, the man was calling from Japan, and it's Monday for him.
Oh, right.
You
Yeah.
see. And this man placed a very large order over the phone on Sunday afternoon as John's driving down from Idaho to Northern California. Interesting thing that made a big difference is the man, the merchandise that the man needed is not usually purchased in Japan. And the fact that this man ordered it put him in a very, very high income level, because to be involved in this sport, you got to have some money. Whereas in the United States, almost anybody could, you know. And the man is a very, very successful industrialist whose name is well known in the United States because of his company names. And we become friends, you know, and he says, oh my gosh, finally I met an American businessman who knows how to do things right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because see, this man's used to talking to Jews.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what he's used to, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't use underlings.
Mhm.
Another example, on our talk show back a couple of years ago, a young lady who started her nonprofit on our show, and it was growing. And last year, she wanted to bring in some other than little people, like, you know, I mean, she wanted to grow her base. So we said to her on the talk show, well, why don't you just call somebody? Who would you like to call? And she mentioned the man's name. And this is not a political endorsement, but she mentioned, well, you know, I really think I'd like to talk to Donald Trump. And we said, well, why don't you call him? And she did it. 45 minutes later, he called her back and talked to her for 2.5 hours and was very interested in her nonprofit. This was before the presidential running for president. The thing that we don't understand is the bigger they are, the easier they are to get to. And when you give this transparency, when you know, we're not big business people. I'm definitely not Donald Trump. But when you're available to people, you still are the chief conversation officer. And, you know, people really want to know that. I don't want to, I mean, no offense, but if I'm doing business with somebody, I want to talk to the person I'm doing business with. We just got back from a 3-week trip around the, we always like to go on road trips and meet people. And when we go to restaurants, I always ask, is the owner in? And the waitress says, yeah, they're in the back. I said, well, have them come out. And the owner comes out and says, I just want to thank you very much for this wonderful meal. You know?
Yeah.
And how long have you been in business? And boy, nobody ever asked him that. You see what I mean? And it's the way to engage. So anyway, the dog's barking, which means she needs to go out because I've been gone. She's lonely, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I love the converse. I love the topic. Here comes Cliff, girls. He can handle it all. I may be back if I have an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Chuck. I appreciate your stories. They're great.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great. Hey there, Cliff.
Hey guys, I have a bloody nose, so I just saw it on camera there. It's some leftovers.
Oh no.
Yeah. I've got this cold they came down with, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off camera for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. No
Oh
problem.
man. Cliff's duking it out over there.
Yeah. Cliff, you could have given a better story than just, like, duking it out.
Wow.
That was a great story, a great couple stories from Chuck. I think that, I mean, I guess, Kim, you know, because you've come from the world of corporate in terms of how available the owners or the presidents of companies, but you've also been the woman behind a lot of big names in our industry as well. And I don't know, just speaking into that piece of, you know, the gurus or the big people being available to that level, he's right. It's just, it hasn't been.
Well, I think that it's funny because what I've been taught from my mentors or, you know, people that I think are the gurus and the stars in the industry, like, or maybe it's not even being taught, but it's kind of this subconscious thing of like, if you're a star, you're not accessible.
Right.
And you want to be a star, you know, like a movie star. So you need bodyguards and you don't take calls and you don't take pictures, you know, but I think that what I'm seeing, the group of people that I'm seeing really rise up to the top are more truth guides than stars.
Mhm.
So they are stars because they're coming from that place of authentic connection and conversation, and and people that are looking at like not just themselves, but what's the brand that you want to build around your business. Even if you are your brand, if your business is a personal brand, it's still bigger than you, so how do you want people to feel about that? I think is very reflective in how accessible you are, the conversations that you have. And I think the key to being able to be at that level, at that CEO level, and being able to be responsive is to have an amazing team of people running the show under you. So you feel like you have the freedom and the time to be responsive.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Welcome back, Cliff.
Hey, I threw some water through my hair. I didn't want to scare you guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. You sound wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I sound really good today because my cold gives me that voice like I'm on the radio again.
Right.
You and Kim both have
crazy.
Yes.
I know. Mine's not quite so sexy, though. I just stopped up.
I was singing to somebody last night. It wasn't very effective, though.
Oh.
Some Italian song. Oh, it was Amore, right? The Italian song.
Amore.
Well, thank you for letting me in, even though I was a wreck when I got here. The great conversation. I was drawn in by Chief Conversation Officer. One of the things that I'm looking to do as I'm going forward with Blab, especially, is to have people get back into the art of conversation. And if it's about business, that's fine. But what we're seeing here, and I've been here for longer than it appears, about 2 months now, and just absorbing the psychology, what's going on with the camera, with the audio, with the hands, with the connecting through the video. It's phenomenal. Finally, for me anyway, this is the platform where I was waiting. Twitter never excited me. Facebook was okay, I get it, but I didn't need all that stuff. My business was doing fine, and I didn't need social media because everything that I built over the last 11 years was based on word of mouth, and myself and my small team doing work for people, helping them stay safe in the digital world. And do it. We did it in such a way where there's nowhere else they would go. I've got 650 clients that love me, adore me, and my team, and trust us. I mean, that's what this all comes down to, is trust and conversation. A lot of people are struggling who are coming onto Blab because they're camera shy. They're not comfortable behind the mic. And I'd like that. One of my things I'd like to be doing going forward, I'm moving out of the business I've been in for 11 years into a human potentialist, as I wrote in the sidebar. Help people raise them up, bring them up, let them find their way, be a guide to them. I know that's what you guys do from your explanations. And I recruited for 15 years, and so I became a really good listener. And that's one of the things here that, in this platform, because of the interplay, 2, 3, 4 people in a room, plus all the size. So if you've got to be a good listener, you've got to be paying attention, you've got to be aware. If you're going to get through this platform in a way that's good for you and the people listening to you, right? So what I'm experiencing is that I love bring awareness to people, because that ends up raising their confidence. It raises their own clarity in what they're doing, and get their message kind of refined out there. I'm just looking and let them make the connections and transformations they need to get their word and their message out to the world to make it a better place. And I've got grand visions of being an inspired leader and all that stuff that people have told me I am, and putting that to work for the masses. Get around the banks, get around the governments, get around the big corporations who just are out there to make the money continue to flow in a circle, and be ourselves and connect and make the differences we need to make the changes in the world to keep us not only surviving here on this planet as all living things. I make a joke that the rocks are probably going to survive. I think the rest of us, everything from the moss up, are going to be challenged here in the coming decades, if not sooner. And one of my big pet peeves is water. People are just continually, unknowingly, because they don't realize, because of a lack of awareness, that the chemicals that they're flushing down their when they're doing their laundry are phenomenally impacting the planet. People just do not realize this. They don't think about it. They think if it's on the shelf and they're putting it on their clothes and laundry, that it's a safe thing to flush down. They never think, boom, out of sight, out of mind. And it's killing the aquifers of the planet. And we always talk about, these companies are polluting their the big names or whatever. Yeah, they're doing their polluting, but we ourselves are just being led along, especially in the U.S., because the U.S. has just allowed the big money to drive Washington, keep the chemicals in our society all around us, on the shelves, makeup and everything else, and clothes and laundry and everything else. So that's my thing. But it's all about awareness. And I love Blab because it allows us to make this connection. You can look into the camera. I try to put you guys up right behind the camera. And really have a new age of connectivity that we didn't have. The technology's been driving it the other way. And what was most interesting to me, and it's a great little story. Last week, I ran into a Blab that was a Pennsylvania professor from a university, had his students here. They were 19 years old or so, and they were befuddled by this platform. They were, and not just one or two of them, they were all just saying, I'm confused. It's because they've been trained to be so myopic, right, on their phones. And it's always the conversation between 2 or 3 or 4 people, but it's always in a linear fashion, right? Now you've got something on the side, you got something on the other side, Twitter's popping up, the questions are moving over here. And I was helping them out. They were all just learning Blab like deer in the headlights, but even with my quick help showing them how to use it, and they kind of gave up in about 8 minutes. They were just flabbergasted.
Yeah, I think you bring up a couple of good points as you're talking. In the beginning, you said that you've really just sort of synced with Blab. And for me, I was an early adopter of using live stream video. I was one of those Google Hangouts people who, before it was the first live stream video thing out there. So, but what I've seen is it's not just the platform, whether it's Blab or Periscope or Meerkat or Google Hangouts, it's the medium, which is live stream video. And here's, I think, what you've experienced, Cliff, is that Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and these things and the way that we connected in the digital space has always been via text or images, right? But if we go back 100 years, 50 years, 25 years before computers and we even had this capability, how did we conduct business? Face to face. Right. It was the way that we conducted business was face to face. And that is critical and an important thing, because as human beings, we intuitively know if we can trust someone based on what we see in the expressions of their face. Exactly. In the intonations of their voice, in the gestures in their hands. When you go to a department store or whatever, and the guy or gal is just coming up to you and wants to sell you something, you're like, ugh, get away from me. I don't even like your vibe. But in text and in images, we can't see that vibe. Right. So there's this, what happened for us is in the online space is it left this huge gap for us around trust. Right. In online, building trust, right? Now, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when Google Hangouts came into the picture, it was a game changer. Mm-hmm. Nothing like it before, because now we have live stream video. We can come in, for those of you who've used Google Hangouts, it's very similar to this, but you can have 10 people and you have the comments going on the side, same thing. And you can have these spontaneous conversations, which I think is what the excitement is, right? It's not a scripted conversation that we're having here. We're just having a real conversation like we're in a room together, because we are. Right. We're in our virtual room. And so now that gap has been closed. That piece that we had in the real world of being able to see people, their voice, their intonations, and have these connections, live stream video has filled that gap. And I think that's what you spoke so beautifully into. And we're pulling all the pieces of how you experienced that or have been experiencing that.
Yeah, and it's and you did a great job summing it up. But what I like to see and what I'm excited about is the moving people from indifference and getting. I know you guys wake up, change agent, and that's what I've always been. I've always been a rebel. I've been the disruptor before the word was used. Right, like it is now. I've been authentic before they started using that word because I'm just me. What you see is what you get. I'm not one of these people that make up stories a lie or whatever. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, I am me, and I'm always the round. I tend to be the round stone in the pyramid structure. So I never fit well inside those things. I would do my work and I would focus, but I always look to do the right thing. And a lot of these companies, they aren't interested in that. They're doing the right thing for their, doing the top of the pyramid to keep it there. And I would always go for the little guy. I would always be the advocate to be there for those people with lesser voices who wouldn't stand up to the powers that be. And I've gotten my ass in trouble sometimes, but I don't give a shit. I don't care if they throw me out of the company or whatever. I know at the end of the day, I'm sleeping really well because I did the right thing. And I've struggled with money over the 90s and stuff because of it. But again, I was a recruiter for a long time, and you got to have a very flexible skin in that business. You're selling people with the people, all kinds of people involved in the deal. Everything can go wrong, and it does. It's nothing like that out there. So I use it as a platform for me to learn more about psychology, learn more about people, how do relationships work, even short running relationships, like a recruiter. You're building a really fast, you talk about fast build. You've got to build trust and rapport immediately with somebody to keep them on the phone for more than a minute. And have them refer somebody else if they're not the right person. So it's really, for me, the indifference factor, and this isn't talked about that much these days. Most people, unless you're threatening somebody or you're using threatening tone or voice or in their face or physically, they're going to be indifferent toward you. They're really not going to put you in the friend column too easily or too fast, and they're not going to throw you, run away from you unless you're doing those threatening maneuvers or sound that way and so forth. So, but I want to get people more engaged. I love the idea of this conversation going on, more so than even I think Google Hangout is. You don't get right with Google Hangout. I've been on a few of them, but each person who's talking pops in, right, and then you got the smaller, right.
Yeah. So the format is a little bit different. You're right. Yeah. Right. And there's not the social media. I mean, in my opinion, Blab, it was just the first thing was Google Hangouts before anything else. It was the only option. Now we have in the last, what are we in November? So like in the last 8 months, we've had Periscope's 3 new video platforms that have just like blown up.
Exactly.
So it's great. It's really cool.
Yeah. And they've got their place. Periscope has its place to give you a quick instant boom. Here I am. I'm out, whatever it is, and it's more one way. But again, and you hit the nail on the head. It's about conversation. It's about stuff that's been lost over the years. You don't have that old family sit around the fire and talk at night. I mean, that's been gone for decades. And the family's splintered. Everything's disjointed and disconnected. And even though this technology theoretically has brought people together, the last 8 months or so has been a watershed time, especially with the advent of Blab. And this is not going away because people, for better or worse, they're going to use this platform. And I know that we need, as a human race, to get past the survival mode and to thriving, is we need to talk, and we need to have action based on the talking that we're doing. We can't just come on. And what's great about this is they're going to be changing around to have channels based on your moniker. So you'll be able to follow me, and every time, if you're following me, you'll see my channel pop up and so forth, as opposed to just being kind of random. So that's cool. And then, so then you can kind of tune into what you want to be seeing and hearing and get the noise out of the way and do a self-aggregation. So I'm really super excited. And having you guys here, meeting you for the first time. I mean, I talk to people all over the world now, who I would never meet. Right. Yeah.
And you'll be able to get clients all over the world too. That's what happened for me when I started using live stream video, is all of a sudden my client base became international. I mean, half of the people in my programs and courses were from around the world.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah.
No, it's wicked cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
But no, I'm from Boston. I don't know where you guys are at.
I'm in Northern California in Oakland.
And I'm in Austin, Texas.
Cool.
So we're all over.
So
Yeah.
Boston,
all
Austin.
time zones of our
So Chuck Bartok is your neighbor up there, right?
yeah,
Chuck.
that's what I was
Our neighbor.
why I was asking him. Yeah.
Archaic smile. Yes, Chuck. Yes. We're sitting around talking with people. Imagine that, looking at people, actually having a conversation about something. It's phenomenal. I call it a trust accelerator.
Absolutely.
Because like you say, you've got the digital eyeballs. You can sense if somebody's genuine and authentic in their demeanor and so forth. And it's interesting because there's some folks on here that won't come on camera, and they're doing it. One of them's doing it intentionally, like the Wizard of Oz deal, right? That he and his reason. I challenged him last week, and his reason was. He has a right to do whatever he wants. It's not about challenging that. I was just challenging if you're going to be a blab guy and you're going to be telling other people that you're the guy to come to for blab learning and you're not on camera. There's a big chunk. There's a big gap there for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Missing
but a lot of it is the Wizard of Oz power thing, and so he's trying to manipulate and through a whole bunch of other techniques that he's using. On the call, and it's very disconcerting because after you record these calls and somebody comes back to it, there'll just be a black space, and you don't see the face right now. You'd see the face kind of pulsing when they're talking, so you'd know that who the heck said that, and you're kind of looking at all the lips, all the other. It's very difficult. So I tried to explain that to him. It went right over his head. But regardless, if you're going to say, I'm going to teach you how to do a blab master class and be the blab-matic guy, but I'm not coming on camera. So let me finish. His reason was very funny, but it's sad because he was controlling people and still does. And so people are going to use this. And I kind of said, with this platform comes great power, and you can choose to use it for the benefit of those people in the room aside from yourself. And just left it there. But beyond that, which he was not doing. And it's about his self-esteem and all that stuff. But, that's not our problem until he makes it one. But he's got minions kicking around because people, to the shallow folks who need somebody in front of them to tell them what to do. He's like, so how well do we know, Kim? How well do we know each other? Yeah. 1 to 10. How well? And you're like a deer in the headlights, right? Like,
right.
I don't freaking know you. I know you're in Boston. I mean, right. But as soon as you come on, we've been on for 10. As soon as you come on, Kim, so I trust you 100%, Kim. How much do you trust me? Like,
right.
And then but it's very interesting how some of this will come out in this platform. But his reasoning was the last time he was on camera, and he's been around a while doing the Google Hangouts and whatnot. And he said, people ran screaming from me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're taking a different take, which is all about authenticity and getting real and getting to know each other. And I think
it's about building that connection. And that's
and I mean, we're in the era of transparency. Like, there's no hiding. Like, if you put anything on the web anytime, it's there forever. And so why not just embrace it and let people get to know you? And well, it'll be, what's great about that, Chuck, is Cliff, is that you were able to immediately suss that person out because of this platform. Like, you went on and you were like, this is weird. I feel weird. This is an uncomfortable space. Let me try to help him out with this. He's not responsive to it. So you get to choose.
And he was doing it to people, and I had enough. I'd been watching it for about a week or so. He's got a lot of blabs on here, all recorded. He will not go off the record with anybody at anything. Like if you said to him, Kim, I want to go off the record with you and he actually did this after I got off the call with another woman who said, I've been trying to connect with you for a month, but you will not go off the record. You always record. And part of that is the power play. You will not say something to him and say, well, Cliff, I'm going to challenge you. Wait, I'm on the record. I'm not going to challenge you because you never know. He always says, I'm going to use these for sound. I'm going to use sound bites. So he's threatening you up front, and he's a big threat guy. And he always, if he has host control, he'd throw you out of the room in 2 seconds. I lasted for a while. I didn't get tossed by him. So that was pretty good. But I've been doing.
So
strange.
Cliff, you would like our you would definitely like the blab that we did. I think, Kim, it was last time where we did engagement etiquette. That had
Did you put that in the sidebar?
Did you?
I know you did
I think
earlier.
so.
Put a
It's
link.
in Wake Up and Change the World.
Yeah,
right?
I'll go back and check
Yeah.
that out. So what was it about? I'm sorry.
The do's and don'ts of engagement etiquette,
Right.
and
Right.
those types of pieces were in it that you're speaking to. So we definitely can appreciate that.
Yeah. And like I said, I always challenge the powers that be if they're taking advantage of the little guy, and this guy is and was, and I just can't sit idly by too long. Now, when people are being stomped on, I'm sorry. I don't care if it's animals or people. I'm going to stand up for the people that are not willing or not realizing what's going on, and just sort of wake up. Even I don't know if you guys know Jamie Messner on here. He's a 14-year-old with, I think he has cerebral palsy. Is that right, Chuck? I think he has CP. Anyway, people got together on Blab and built him a system so he could be on Blab, right?
Mm.
So anyway, he's on here, and he's 14 years old, an old soul. He came on that very Blab, and as soon as I started challenging this guy, the sidebar started lighting up. People, once you stand out and stand up to the bully, other people started chiming in. It was a great typical psychological thriller. And then Jamie came on and he says, wait. Why is everybody picking on him? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, one of the other guys who knows Jamie, who helped him build the system for him, said, Jamie, pay attention. Wake up. Be aware of what's going on here. Then all of a sudden, Jamie came back in later. And I went back and watched this because somebody told me about this. So the 14-year-old is like, and he's like, he does this, and he's twisting around because of his ailment and his disease, whatever. And so he's going, wait. The thing is that you're not answering questions directly. And he blew him off, and it was amazing. Even the 14-year-old saw once people said, wait, slow down, pay attention to what's going on here. Even he got it. Now he's a smart kid for 14, but it's great. I'm following you guys. I'm going to keep an eye on you here. If you need any support, if you know about the Twitter on over there, wherever it is, if you click on that, it changes to your questions.
It changes.
So go ahead. I can't do it because I'm not the
I'm
host.
doing
Right?
it. Oh, look
So
at that! You learned
And then,
what do we do, Cliff?
Well,
I
actually,
can't
if you
answer
want to,
questions, now what do I do?
before you guys get all excited, if you want to wrap up the call, and then we can stay afterward if you turn it off the recording, and I'll show you some other tips and tricks if you want.
I'll
We're back. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for today's show, where we talked about how you can become the chief conversation officer of your business. And if you want to subscribe to this and get all of the episodes, we're doing this 75-day business challenge from now until the end of 2015 every Monday and Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. And our shows usually last about 30, 45 minutes. Today we went a little bit over. So if we have the time, we'll stay on. You can get all of the goodies at bit.ly/75-day challenge. And I will put the link in the chat. And we hope to see you all next Monday. Have a great weekend.
everyone.